couple of things. One, been born and raised in Texas and spent the majority of my career in Texas, and so it was getting time to come back. Arizona has been, I've enjoyed it, but it's tough to take the Texan out of the boy, and I've always loved the hill country, and I told my wife and others that, yeah, I'll get back to Texas someday, but it's going to have to be for the right job, and it's going to have to be in the hill country. So that kind of narrows down your options, and Round Rock's reputation is, without question, it's one of the premier cities in the country. Forget about Texas. I mean, I think it's one of those premier cities, and when the opportunity came along, I just couldn't pass it up. I think continuing on a lot of the great things that's gone on, I think my emphasis is going to be heavily into economic development and tourism. I think the game has changed drastically in the last 3 or 4 years. So I think you can put an emphasis on economic development, but I think you're going to have to work harder and smarter and maybe do things a little differently that it's just not going to come as natural to Round Rock and I think other cities in the country. So I really want to work on the brand of the sports capital of Texas, continue to expand that, and then also just true economic development. So, with our location next to Austin, with the assets that we have, the special event center coming on board, it's a real great opportunity, and I think the timing's right. In some ways, my father, he was a Texas city manager. So, I lived all over the state of Texas, and I really didn't want to do, this business, but I think I learned some of the nuances, some of the, I guess, personal things that go with being city manager, and that you get called at home, you get stopped at the grocery store. But, he always just said, do what you got to do, and if you want to get in a business where you get to take all the credit, you're in the wrong business. You're working with 7 different bosses with 7 different agendas and 7 different interests. So, he was very practical. He retired from Rio Doce, New Mexico as village manager. But, also Tom Hart, who was city manager in Euless, Texas, the first city I was at. He's now city manager in Grand Prairie. Is a big part of my reason for staying in the business and enjoying it, and a lot of my style was probably taken from the way he does business. Oh boy, Slayton, Abernathy, Mahia, Portland, Harlingen, Port Neches, Broken Arrow, Wiley, Texas. In fact, we were city manager in the same city within about 5 years of each other. And 3 of the people that hired me in Wiley as manager were 3 that ran on the platform to fire my dad. So a little unique, but no, it's the nature of the beast. You move around a little bit. I think it's gotten better over the years. It's not 3 to 4 years. It's probably 5 or 6 years now. But no, it's been a great profession. I don't know. I guess I just kind of fell into it a little bit, but I enjoyed being city manager because I can spend as little or as much time on a project as I want. My personality, if I had to do the same thing, 8 hours a day, it'd probably drive me crazy. So I can be involved in a police issue, an hour later on a planning issue, and then economic development. And you get to see things happen, whether it's a new building or it's a new program or it's reading a letter or email from a resident thanking you for a new initiative or a new service you're providing, and it makes you feel good. It's not, you just didn't do an investigation, turn it over to somebody else, and you never know what happens with the outcome. So I've enjoyed that. Rudy's is pretty good. There was a place in Euless called Green's Trucking Company, and they've won all sorts of awards nationally, and it's a trucking company Monday through Thursday, and then Thursday night through Sunday it turns into a barbecue place. They pull out all the equipment and bring in picnic tables, and they've gotten a little bit more sophisticated over the years, but that's very good. But some of these little roadside barbecue stands, it's tough to beat. So there's so much good barbecue here, and I've had in the last 8 years, probably had barbecue 3 times and it was awful. Arizona is not known for barbecue. Southwestern Tex-Mex top food is one thing, but barbecue, no.